Despite the sacrifice of many brave guardians, we lost everything. The tower, the city, our home.
So, everything is gone. Your stuff, my stuff, most importantly, my stuff.
Today we know our enemy. His name is
Gary! Gil, Glenn? I don't know, something with a G!
Gaul. I know you look to me in times of peril, but this is not my battle alone.
Which means if I don't see you out there, I'll kill you myself.
It is time to avenge this injustice, for that is the duty of all guardians.
Worst case scenario, you die. Who knows? Maybe you won't.
So I ask you, who will stand with me?
Also, there will be a ton of loot!
Valhalla. The Cabal are evacuating with extreme prejudice. They're getting torn up down here.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to IGN's reveal of Destiny 2 gameplay. I'm Damon Hatfield. I'm joined by one of IGN's many Destiny experts, Jose Otero.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Jose.
Good morning,
I hope everybody is feeling good and is excited. In just a few minutes, about 15 minutes exactly, Bungie is going to pull back the curtain on Destiny 2. While we wait for them to get ready, we're going to break down everything we know about Destiny 2 already, and then I'm going to grill Jose on what he's hoping to see today. But we also want to hear from you today and this morning. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, tweet them at IGN with the hashtag Destiny2Live. just like Jose is demonstrating here. And we'll share them here on the show. And then about at 10 a.m., when Bungie's presentation starts, we're all going to watch it together. We expect it to last about an hour. And then after that's over, stick around for our post-show coverage. We'll be breaking down everything we just saw with Jose and Sean Finnegan, one of the members of our Fireteam Chat Destiny podcast, will be joining us here to break down everything afterwards. And then our coverage will continue throughout the day. We've got boots on the ground there at the event. Fran Mirabella, the other guys from Fireteam Chat are all there. They're going to be playing Destiny 2. They're going to be sharing their thoughts with us later today.
Those punks. But tune in for that. It's some really exciting stuff coming in.
But first, Destiny 2. What do we know so far?
Oh, man. So
Jose,
what do we know?
We already know it's coming out this year.
Yeah, that's right. September 8th, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be set 1 year after the events of Rise of Iron.
Okay.
Right. There's a new villain, right? This Gaul is
called
his name?
Gaul. From the Cabal race, which if you've played Destiny, you are familiar with the Cabal by now. But this hopefully hints at more of the Cabal having a more active part in a campaign, because I haven't really had one really since the original Destiny launched in 2013, September 9th, if I'm correct. It's a day and 3 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cabal has attacked the last city. The Guardians have been stripped of their powers.
That's right. Yeah.
Because everything you've been working on for the past 3 years is all being taken away. It's not going to carry over, right?
No, that's been blown up, which is a really smart story angle to do that, right? Like they basically wanted to sort of cut the ties between the two games. You can tell that at least the sentiment from Bungie was not to be tied to original Destiny, instead start over and come up with something new and come up with stuff that's exciting. And being shackled to what the original game was, maybe that means that all bets are off and everything can change, which is kind of exciting.
So you don't mind the fact so much that none of your stuff is going to carry over?
Oh no, it hurts.
Okay, it does.
It hurts because I'm still working on it as part of like revisiting Destiny with part of this final event that's going on, the Age of Triumphs. I've been going through a lot of the old raids, going after gear that essentially will not carry over.
Sure.
But I've made peace with that because I feel like the original Destiny has had its successes and its struggles, and it is the thing that I'll still remember. It's 3 years of my life that I invested that ultimately the good outweighs the bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, and to look back on it, I still have fond memories of it.
We do have our first comment from Twitter, which we can bring up here. Remember, if you have questions, tweet them at IGN with the hashtag Destiny2Live. This is Fred Sullivan, who says, I want strikes and raids to be more complicated, larger in scale, and longer. I'd also love if the Fireteam size were increased. Jose.
Yeah, no, I mean, who knows? That could be a possibility. I mean, you got to remember that when the original Destiny came out in 2013, it came out on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and then PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. PC wasn't even in the picture. And so you had to deal with, and regardless of the end product looking as good as it did, and I think it looked great, I think the art direction was fantastic, it was still held back by having to run on prior gen consoles. So now look at the future. Look where we are today, where the game's going to launch on PC, it's going to launch on PS4, Xbox One. We also have Scorpio coming out this year. We also have PlayStation 4 Pro out in the retail space. And these are beefed up systems that can do a lot more than what the prior gen could do. So I'm excited to see how Bungie taps into that. And I think he's right. Strikes were really repetitive. I don't know if raids can get more complicated. I was going to say sometimes raids, it depends on the skill of your team clearly, but I think that they had a great balance on raids so far. And I'm almost afraid to suggest they get harder because in some instances they were pretty tough.
Now tell us about Luke Smith, the director of Destiny 2.
That's right. So in line with what we know about Destiny 2, Luke Smith, who previously led the raid team, so he was on the Vault of Glass team. Raiding in Destiny is sort of the first time that an action or sort of shooter tackled the fundamental concept of what a raid is. Raids typically associated with MMOs, with more RPG-like systems. And Luke then went on to direct Taken King. He worked with this dude, Mark Noseworthy, who's also working on Destiny 2 as a project lead. So these guys worked together for over the past 3 years, and the stuff they've worked on has been some of Destiny's best stuff, if you think about it. First, Vault of Glass being that signature raid that kicked it up, but then Taken King, sort of an epic storyline, something that sort of rescued the storytelling effort. Destiny 1 had this convoluted, completely incomprehensible story unless you read all of these side annotations and all of this extra content. You didn't really get the gist of it. Taken King was way more direct in storytelling, way more direct in presenting characters, and it revamped a lot of the systems that made Destiny 1 very cumbersome to play.
Now tell me about this. Activision has said the sequel, Destiny 2, will broaden the franchise's global reach. How do you interpret that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's part marketing speak. I think for them, they want Destiny to be a success, right, in all territories, Europe included, and latching more and more people into it. I think for them, it does mean sort of trying to find a balance between something that's approachable, but something that's super hardcore. And those two concepts don't always align, right? Like, the more hardcore something is, the thinner that crowd gets, but that crowd is ravenous for it. They're the biggest advocates for it.
Sure.
So I think it is them just sort of trying to find the happy middle. And for everything that Destiny has been, it struggled along the way. I mean, the original leveling concept was just this obtuse, like, what is going on? Like, light levels specifically was just maddening. And then there was this sort of random element to how you got rewards, and those rewards tied into whether you were able to lift and go above the cap or not. It was frustrating at first. It got better over time, though, and it definitely showed signs of Bungie sort of looking at their economy and their player investment systems and saying, hey, how do we get people sort of to stay along for the ride and not just sort of be turned off by something that makes no sense?
Well, people who are into Destiny are pretty hardcore about it.
Yeah,
and the game sort of encourages that returning every day, right? Running through the loops. Activision has said about Destiny 2, they're promising a great cinematic story that's been a real focus with a great cast of memorable, relatable characters, coupled with some very nice ways to make the game more accessible to the casual player.
Yeah. So there you have it right there, right? And specifically the story stuff's really important because if you were here, when Destiny 1 launched, it was a huge event, right? Everyone, IGN, all of us were very excited for what it would end up being. And it ended up being a bit of a mess. You had some great, campaign ideas, but then you had some really weak storytelling. You had some pretty cool strikes, but you had some very spongy-like bosses. And it wasn't really until Vault of Glass launched after that game came out that you really started to see folks get a bit more excited and more integrated into what that world is. Also, Destiny seems to have suffered because I think it was too much for Bungie. And so across Destiny's development, they've gotten some help. Now High Moon Studios is involved as a developer. Vicarious Visions in December of this past year was sort of confirmed as coming on to help get Destiny out the door and make sure that it hits its time. And I think that Bungie needs that help, Like ultimately one studio for a game of this scale and this size can't do it alone, not in today's development environment. Yeah.
Well, surely a big initiative as part of this broadening the franchise's global reach is coming to PC.
Yes.
Right.
And
that opens up a whole other audience.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that's been said, I think, most commonly about the original Destiny was, why is this not on PC? The UI felt like it was made for PC. A lot of the hardcore elements, as you just said, were completely tuned for the PC gamer.
Yeah.
And it's a hardcore community and one that cares. And like, it's not like the PC platform is dying or dead. Like that's, if anything, one of the most competitive spaces to be in if you're a game developer. So it's really smart of Bungie and Activision to get on board on PC. Like that's so exciting to hear.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the struggles and successes of the first Destiny. It's been out for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously, it's very successful. You've got a lot of hardcore super fans here in IGN, but the game hasn't been without its some sort of struggles over the years.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
There's some naysayers out there. So, what would you say the pros of the first Destiny are? It's very addictive.
Yeah.
It's got very deep mechanics.
Yeah.
It's got great gunplay, and it's a very social game, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It is very much about teaming up with other players, and I think what the original game sort of struggled with was that you really sort of had to lean on your friends for the toughest activities. It wasn't easy to just randomly put a group of people together and be able to go out on some of these missions, and I think that they've improved in that sense. But along the way, like their biggest struggles were storytelling. It made the ending of Destiny 1 still makes no sense to me. And I know there's a hardcore fan group out there who will tell me, well, if you read this, this, and this, you'll be fine. I think it's the game's job to present that information and to at least give me some closure in that moment. Ultimately, I don't care what happened to that crazy lady at the end of the game. I'm more invested in what came later. Dark Below also had struggles with storytelling, but it set up what Taken King then ran with, was like, hey, Dark Below set up this villain called Crota. You fought, you beat him, you encountered him in the raid, and it was an awesome experience. Not as great as the first raid, but didn't matter.
Yeah.
Then Taken King shows up, and it's like, oh, Crota had a dad. And he's very angry you killed his son. And it just sets up this whole new threat in the galaxy, and it starts on Phobos, and it just takes off from there. It is insane, and such a better effort from Bungie. One of their best, I feel.
Well, we're just about 4 minutes away from the Destiny 2 gameplay reveal. So, Jose, tell us a little bit about what you are hoping to see today.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, ultimately, I think that they've got to do, the introduction. Like, give this game an introduction. So you're getting your first look at the world. You're getting your first look at strikes, I would assume, and cooperative content, missions that you'll be going on with other players. I think you're also going to get your first look at PvP and how that's sort of coming along. It's just going to be a little sample of everything. The world is very important and the storytelling effort is very important. I would be very happy if they showed us the first opening cinematic of the game, sort of just set the tone, set the stage. You've said you've blown up the tower. Just show me what happened. Give me that part of that story and get me excited for what this mission is going to be that I'm about to embark on. I mean, I think those are very important pieces of the puzzle. But I do expect it to be light. I don't expect them to go into super, super deep daily activities, maybe a little bit of that, but I feel like you have other gameplay reveals for that. You have other opportunities to tell that information. Like, why blow it all today?
Yeah, well, if their presentation does last the full hour,
yeah,
there's a lot of ground they could cover there.
Absolutely, no, and that's true as well. And so maybe we do get more of an insight as to what your day-to-day activities look like, what your bounties will look like, what, sort of how the factions have changed, how rep grinding will now work. Like, all of these things are factors in Destiny that ultimately are important, and they need to sort of emphasize, like, here's what's carried over and what we think is cool. And they also have to answer the question, just, hey, what does your character look like at the start of this game? Because that's really all that you're getting. You're getting, well, like, your character will come over, none of your gear will, right? Yeah. So they're going to give you a little bit of that, I think, too.
Speak to PvP specifically in terms of what you're hoping to see or the community at large is hoping to see today.
I mean, I think you'll see sort of different modes. I think you'll see how these subclasses will tie into sort of these battlegrounds. I mean, Destiny has not been a stranger to making alterations to its PvP, adding new modes like Rift, adding new modes like Mayhem. I think that you'll get a slight taste of what those look like. I just don't know if they're going to go full-on Monty and be like, oh, an Iron Banner will now work like this, which is sort of this timed event that will happen every couple of weeks. Or, oh, here's what Trials of Osiris looks like on the weekends. I just don't think we need to go that far. But maybe they will. You're right. It's an hour-long stream, and it's exciting because I'm like, what are you going to, are you just going to show gameplay for an hour? Because sign me up. Like, I'm there.
Yeah. We are less than 2 minutes away from the reveal, providing Bungie begins on time. Let me ask you this. Do you think when Destiny 2 arrives on September 8th, will it contain another loot cave?
Oh, no. I mean, you never know. No, remember that? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's such a big deal.
Well, and it was the sign of desperate measures. That's how hard it was to get gear and loot and engrams and things to happen in Destiny 1. Like, hopefully not. I mean, I feel like with each game, they've gotten better at testing. They've gotten better at sort of patching and finding the things before it ships. Yeah. Then again, you never know. With a game of this scale and of this size, it's hard to find everything. And I know Bungie has definitely gotten better, at least on the raid front. If you think of how the first raid launched and the bugs that came with that, and the second raid especially with the Dark Below, and then you look at the later raids with, like, for example, Wrath of the Machine or King's Fall, they did a much better job of making sure that, hey, this doesn't break or that people don't break our game. But here's the thing, too. You can't patch players. Players are going to test every boundary and every wall more than even your test team might. So it could happen. I hope it doesn't happen.
Well, we are about 30 seconds away from the reveal. Bungie starts on time. We expect the presentation to last about an hour, and then stick around afterwards. We'll be breaking down everything in our post-show coverage. We'll also be joined by Sean Finnegan, another of our Destiny experts who's part of our Fireteam Chat Destiny podcast. That's all coming up right after the reveal event. And then we'll be having drops, more info coming out throughout the day because we have boots on the ground at the event. I hear some sound. Looks like the actual Bungie stream is saying 30 seconds from
30
right
seconds.
Now.
Oh, man. All right, just...
Are you getting ready?
Yes. Like, no, I'm so excited to finally see this game and to just see what they're going to bring to the table.
All right, we're going to let you guys, hand you over to Bungie right now. Enjoy the show. We'll see you afterwards.
What makes a guardian a guardian? We take our first breath with no memory of who we were before. Yet, we are inexorably drawn to the light. We fight die. And we live again. We know that we were chosen for a reason, by something greater than ourselves. For as deep and wide as humanity's rivers have run, it has now been reduced to a precious few, needing something to believe in and a place to call home. This is what we have been called to, the future that we fight for. The future we will protect. Shaped by the fires of each new battle, we are forged and sharpened into what we must become for the fight ahead. What we have built is only the beginning, a symbol of what we can achieve, of who we are and our great purpose here. But the day may come when we will be tested, when all we hold dear is threatened. And then we will see what each of us is truly made of.
That day has arrived. That day we've been waiting for. When we were talking about the slide setup for today, we've got a pretty cool presentation. We're like, hey, Luke, what do you want to put behind you? We're up on the stage. It's like, just can you put like a big ass 2? Just, yeah. Huge. It's like the giant. The reason why is because the 2 is a reminder. It's a reminder that Destiny 2 is going to be a new beginning for everyone. It's a convergence of veteran players like yourselves and new players into our universe. It's a chance for us to welcome the game into new audiences and communities, like the PC, where Destiny 2 will be available for the first time. And in that other room that you're gonna go to when we're done here this morning, it's over there to play. It's got all kinds of cool stuff in it. We think it's pretty amazing. I'm sure you're gonna tell us what you think about it too. I know. Read about it on Reddit. To us, a sequel just represents an opportunity to start fresh. It represents a chance to welcome new players into our worlds, into the amazing Destiny community that we're all a part of. The second thing I'm going to talk about this morning, as I am the last barrier between you and seeing the game, is the vision for Destiny 2. As we've been building this game, there have been 3 things that are rattling around our heads. Just 3. Those are the things that the team and I are going to be talking about this morning and sharing with you. The first one is a world that pulls you in. This is about having a story you can relate to. It's about having characters that you want to hang out with, characters you want to work with. This is about having enemies, of course, enemies you want to face. It's about the way we build our environments at Bungie. We want to create experiences that make you seek what's around every corner. That's the first part. The second thing is we want to build amazing things to do. And this is amazing things to do for everyone, no matter your mood. If you're a solo player, in Destiny 2 today, we're going to talk about how we're changing the way exploring the world works. If you're a competitive player, I'm sure there are some people who enjoy Crucible in the audience. I saw Triple Wreck on a flight. If you're a competitive player, we've rethought the Crucible from first principles. We're moving all activities in PvP to be 4v4. We've rebuilt the sandbox in a bunch of ways for smaller team formats. We've done this because we want to create a sense of mastery. In order to master anything, you need to understand it. And that understandability comes from a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to get your hands on later this morning. The third part here is cooperative. Everyone knows I like the cooperative part of Destiny. And in Destiny 2, we have a ton of new public events, we have brand new strikes, and of course, there's a brand new raid. And we're going to show it right now. No, we're not. Of course, right? I talk about the raid last because it leads me to my third point this morning, which is about there's always someone to play with. This is a big one for us. The raids in Destiny 1 couldn't be experienced by everyone. 50% of people who reached the level cap organized into fire teams and completed a raid. This is amazing. I think this is almost a miracle. Because whether you did it through your friends list or the communities that you formed, or used out-of-game applications to build fire teams and take on these incredible challenges, or, as I know, pull the network cable from Crota. I know, that's like a year one deep cut. So is that. But that means tons of players, 50%, never had the opportunity to experience Destiny's most unique content. And that miracle that I talked about, the half of you who've played, that's not good enough for Destiny 2. So this morning, we're going to talk about how Trials, the Nightfall, and the raids will finally be available to all players. Destiny 2's vision Destiny 2's vision boils down to this really simple statement. It's a world I want to be in. When I go there, there's always amazing things for me to do. And if I want, there's always someone for me to play with. On behalf of Bungie and our partners at Activision, thank you so much to the people in the audience who made the trip. Thank you so much to the people out in the chat spamming Senpai or whatever the emotes the kids are using these days. I don't know, I'm too old for that. And to everyone else who spent any time in our worlds, thank you. The wait is over. This is Destiny 2, and this is Homecoming.
Cora, if you tell me this is a practical joke, well, it kills me to say it, but I would be really impressed.
Impressing you, Cade, is the easiest thing I'll do all day.
Let's get serious, people.
Zavala, this is my serious face. Can't you tell?
Ikora, what have you got?
Someone or something has sabotaged the Skyline defense systems.
And comms have been spotty for the last few hours. Every sensor beyond the wall has gone dark.
Maybe it's just the storm. Maybe it's... What are the set feeds telling us?
Nothing.
Well, that's good, right?
No. I mean, they're not there. There are no satellites.
And that's not good.
Battle stations! Everyone with me, now!
Hang on!
We will hold this line until the last civilian is safely away. Incoming! Fall back to my duty! Forward! Guardians of Omega!
Need to find the speaker.
The last of the shuttles is away. But the speaker, he never made it. I'm going to look for him.
I've got the plaza. Go with Ikora. Find the speaker.
We're on it, Commander.
Ikora, the speaker is gone. Red Legion, you will take no more from us, and you will find no mercy in me.
She'll find the speaker. We need to move on that command ship. Now head to the North Tower. I'm sending Commander Holiday to pick you up. Amanda's inbound. She'll drop you on the command ship.
Someone told me you need a ride. Zavala, picked up that Guardian you never showed up about?
Get them on that command ship, now!
Hold on back there! Come on, big guy. Do something. Guardian, time to kick him where it hurts.
The shield generator should be at the bottom of the ship.
King, what's your status?
Low on ammo. All flaming fists. Trap burning out. Anyone heard from Ikora?
Nonsense, you wait for the speaker. Form up! On me!
The shield generator should be straight ahead.
Your journey ends here.
Thanks. If the giant burning 2 isn't enough of a clue, spoilers, we lose. Despite the awesomeness of the Dawnblade we just looked at, we're defeated in our backyard. Earth's last safe city is safe no more. Destiny 2 is a game that opens with loss. In one fell swoop, players will lose their powers, they'll lose their home, and maybe the saddest of all, they will lose their vaults. I just need a minute for Fatebringer. Okay. And it's all taken by Dominus Gaul, the leader of the Red Legion, who you just got introduced to at the end. Gaul, or Gary, as he's sometimes referred to. Gaul is here for a simple reason. He's been raised since he was just like a little turtle, just a little guy, to believe that he and the Red Legion should have been chosen to receive the Traveler's power. Gaul believes in a better class of Guardian. He's here because he believes the Traveler, in choosing us, made the wrong choice. And in Destiny 2, Gaul intends to show the Traveler the error of its ways. Humanity, us, we're just in the way. The game opens with loss and becomes a game about recovery. Recover your powers. Become strong again. Reclaim your connection to the Traveler and find powerful new gear, weapons, armor. Recover the Vanguard. Those 3 characters we just saw, Zavala, Cade, and Ikora. They're all dealing with this loss just like we are, and in different ways. Zavala, the leader of this whole thing, is having an existential crisis. He's wondering things like, without the light, are we even Guardians? Although it's Zavala's voice, not mine, so it's way more awesome. It's way better. Ikora's angry. The Warlocks who value so much of their connection to the Traveler and knowledge, one of those 2 things has been taken away. So in her rage, she's fled. We have to find her. And then Cade, sort of plucky hunter leader. Cade goes off and does the least expected thing of all. He goes off and tries to be a hero. And what happens next is pretty expected, because it goes totally sideways. Let's take a closer look at the game scenario and the things you're going to chase in Destiny 2.
Hey, you two, give me a sec. Zavala's doing the hero thing in the plaza. Me? I've got a date with whoever's behind this. It'll be a short date.
Destiny 2 tells a brand new story. What happens when a world full of superheroes loses their powers, their history, and home?
Since Destiny 1 release, there's been no foe that they could stand before and not tip over. Whether it's Crota, Oryx, spider monsters, whatever. But in the opening of Destiny 2, players realize there is in fact a foe who has the power to not only take everything you own away, but to take your power away.
I am Gaul, and the light is mine.
Dominus Gaul is a Cabal warlord who has brought with him the Red Legion and has come to our system to take the Traveler's powers, the light, take it for himself.
Gaul's jealous. He wants to have the light. He wants to be chosen.
Gaul is a different villain. He's not a psychopath who just wants to erase humanity off the face of the earth. He feels like this is something that is owed to him because of everything he's been through.
he's a villain who you're like, yeah, this guy kind of has his stuff together. He's more like Alan Rickman's character from Die Hard. Like, minus all the Britishness.
The Protector itself, the Traveler, is put in a cage, and in an instant, all Guardians lose their light. Unexpected and irreversible. You can no longer go back to the tower. You can no longer even walk. All you can do is stumble.
Nobody expected that light could be taken away once it was given.
The city has been lost and the Vanguard's been cast out. And you are the hero of this story. Whether you're a Titan, a Warlock, or Hunter, you have to go out and get your powers back and take back the city.
Whether you're playing Destiny today or it's going to be your first foray into the franchise, Destiny 2 is a new adventure for everyone.
It's a fresh start for all players.
Destiny 2 has an all-new cinematic campaign.
There's more cinematics than we've ever had before.
How long before the fleet's combat ready?
And more story missions. There's quests, there's adventures, there's going to be people talking to you.
Let's bring them home, you and I.
All new worlds to explore. We've got cooperative strikes for 3 players, new Nightfall strikes, and a brand new raid.
And in Destiny 2, we built you all new weapons, all new armor, and a pile of brand new exotics. We also redesigned the weapon slots. They're gonna have a kinetic weapon, an energy weapon, and then a power weapon. Power weapons are things like fusion rifles and sniper rifles and grenade launchers. In that energy slot and the kinetic slot, you can have the same weapons. The new weapon plan was designed to provide players with more freedom and more choice to use the stuff that they love.
Each character has these new supers, and they're really changing the way it feels to play the game. We have the Dawnblade.
You can cast your super, you've got your sword, and you're flying over everyone, and you can just rain down fire, phoenix, projectiles that just decimate people.
And then you have the Sentinel. The Sentinel is a Titan, and he is able to summon a shield that he can just knock his opponents out with, or he can throw his shield and just bang it off dudes' heads. And then you have the Arc Strider. They summon this mystical staff and wield it like a crazy acrobat, cracking enemies in the head. It's awesome. The idea of losing your home and being cast out and the lengths that you would go to get it back, it's all tied together to be something that's really meaningful.
The sense of starting as an underdog and climbing to a great height is really fun.
Destiny 2 is the place where we get to reach back out to everyone who could enjoy a sweet first-person shooter in a future world with giant awesome aliens to fight and gear to chase and powers to use and say, come check this world out, come get invested in this world and in this story.
All right, are you guys ready to check these worlds out? Yeah. You're gonna applause after every sentence. I'm gonna be up here for a while. This is what we get to do. We get to build worlds. This is when we make Destiny, we get to build worlds that pull you in, and you get to visit again and again. And then we get to fill those worlds with action, like what you saw in Homecoming. I have 2 kids, and just like you guys, they play Destiny a lot. I can tell, don't worry. Especially the guy with the Titan armor on. And my oldest plays a lot like I do. He's a solo player. He loves the campaign. He loves story missions. He patrols the wild as a lone wolf, and he loves it. I think I said that a few times. My youngest likes to compete. He's always in the Crucible. You guys know the feeling. He's also in a clan that he raids with. So I'm not going to tell you how old he is because he's already better than me. And he reminds me about it all the time. Hey, Dad, look what I got today. Check me out. You guys know what it's like, right? And I'm like, I got to go into work the next day and deal with another child in my life, Luke Smith. And he's like, guess what I got last night? Check me out. That's my best Luke Smith impression. The point is, there's a lot to do in Destiny. And it's this variety that can appeal to all of us, right? In any type of mood that we're in. And now we've added more. Destiny 2, there's more to do than any game we've ever made at Bungie. So we're going to start with what's coming back. We start with a brand new story, the Red War campaign. It's going to send you across the solar system and back to all new places. Yeah. On your journey, you're going to experience new missions and more cinematics than we've ever had in a Destiny game. You just saw a part of the first mission, Homecoming. And today, we're going to get the controller in your guys' hands, and you're going to get to play it for yourselves. Yeah. Strikes are back. The cooperative missions you guys can play with your friends, if you have them, or Guardians you haven't met yet in matchmaking. We've got a new strike. It's called the Inverted Spire. And you guys are going to get to play that today, too. Yeah. It's going to take you to one of the new worlds, Nessus, through Red Legion territory and into a Vex stronghold, where you're going to fight a 3-stage boss. It's pretty sweet. And then there's the Crucible. Yeah, I was going to ask. PvP players, thanks. A competitive multiplayer, the place that brings you into combat with the most dreaded opponents in the world of Destiny. You guys. Like Luke said, we've made some big changes to the Crucible in Destiny 2. We're building it for PvP players. It's now 4v4 across all the game modes. Yeah. The new HUD's got information about your opponents, like whether they have their super ready, whether they picked up power ammo, all towards the same goal, to make it an experience that's easy to get into, but it's hard to master. Yeah. So we got new maps, we got new modes, and we believe this is the best PvP offering that Destiny has ever seen. Today we're introducing one of the brand new modes. It's called Countdown, the first ever attack defend mode in Destiny. Internally, we've had some pretty intense play tests. And today, well, you guys are going to get to play that too. So, yeah. So take a look around, because these are your teammates and your opponents. That's right. Of course. Any day. Of course, we have a brand new raid. Yeah. And we're going to show it to you later. The pinnacle activity, the biggest challenge a Guardian can face. Anyone that's ever completed one of these knows they're mysteries for you guys to solve together on your own. So we're going to leave that to a later day. And then there's another area that we've made really big improvements to, we're really excited about. Exploring the worlds. Yeah. Really, really cool stuff. So for many players, exploring the world is its own reward. Patrols were an invitation to touch down on a landing zone, gain favor with the champions of humanity. But in Destiny 2, we've made being in the world so much better than just doing patrols. There's so much more to do as you explore. Now, you can launch all of the new activities in the world without going to orbit. Yeah. It's my favorite place to go in Destiny. There's still patrols, ambient encounters, materials and chests for you to find, public events that now have heroic objectives, but now they're adventures, treasure maps for you to follow. lost sectors for you to discover. Just choose a landing zone, and the rest is up to you. You're gonna meet new characters in the world. They have their own story to tell. They're gonna send you on those side missions, adventures. The adventures are filled with new mechanics, new encounters. They're gonna take you to new places, and each have their own rewards that's gonna make your Guardian stronger. These same characters are also gonna mark your map with mysterious locations to discover. These we call lost sectors. When you descend into these dungeons, you're gonna find a cache of treasure and a boss that holds the key. Yeah. All of this is gonna be easier to find in Destiny 2 because of the new map to guide your way. You can choose to play the way that you want. You can search for lost sectors, complete adventures, rally to public events. They now show up marked on your map where and when they're gonna happen. These activities are the foundation of Destiny 2. And we're gonna take you to all new places to do them. 4 brand new worlds. Worlds filled with mystery, adventures, and new characters to meet. But the team can show you these worlds better than I can, so let's check out the new worlds of Destiny 2.
We have these incredible worlds to explore. There are all new destinations, new planets with incredible spaces and secrets hidden. Now we have stuff tucked around every corner, under every locked door. There's something there for you to find.
The map is a huge part of this new player experience for Destiny.
Now you can actually go directly from one planet to another planet without going to orbit first. You can just open the director, pick your new destination, and go straight there.
It's about getting you into the action faster. We want to remove as many barriers as we can between your gun and the enemy's face.
Everything you're doing on every destination is about getting more powerful, and it's about getting the band back together. The Vanguard have been scattered, and as a player, it's your job to go out to these mysterious destinations and gather them back together. And everywhere you go, it's about growing more powerful and learning how to go back and take back your home from Gaul.
One of the first destinations that you're going to go to is the European Dead Zone. This is an incredible place, the largest destination we've ever built, easily, maybe by a factor of 2. And we have found a refuge where we've built a camp.
It's the place where humanity stops fleeing, and it's where they decide to, plant a flag, start getting strong again.
One of our new worlds is Titan. It's a moon of Saturn.
If the light can find its way back to you, then perhaps there is hope for us all.
That's where Zavala chooses to go to heal his wounds and to recover from the assault and the defeat that he's just suffered.
It's this incredible methane ocean with 40-meter high waves, and there's an old human utopia there that's sinking into the ocean.
These huge monolithic structures constructed by humanity at the peak of the Golden Age.
There's literally no land mass on Titan.
It looks like the ocean.
Hurry, come on. I don't know how long this portal's gonna stick.
Cade is on a planetoid called Nessus. It has been totally occupied by the Vex. They have transformed it almost entirely into one of their machine worlds.
It has its own native vegetation, and the landscape has these incredible canyons. They're actually based off of this word I will mispronounce called Tepui, just like these Brazilian plateaus. And then we go to Io, which is this sort of sulfuric yellow moon of Jupiter.
Io is the last place in our solar system that the Traveler touched before the collapse happened.
And you can imagine that a place where the Traveler once appeared has a bunch of mythology and lore and mystery surrounding it.
It's a very sacred place to Guardians, and particularly Warlocks, and particularly like Cora.
This is where I return.
stories in my personal gaming history have involved other people. From bonding with my own brothers to leading my own guilds and running tournaments for the different games I've loved. You know, growing up, becoming a part of these communities were some of the first times I ever felt like what it was to belong. And I'm incredibly grateful for the friendships that have come from playing those games and the impact that they've had on me. You know, over time, I've come to understand just why games are so important. Games are the best medium for bringing different people together. You know, and now at Bungie, I'm surrounded by so many different people who have very similar stories. And it's an absolute privilege to be part of a studio who cares deeply about bringing people together and building communities in the games that we create. The last 3 years has been an amazing experience watching Destiny launch and seeing our communities form. You guys have worked together to solve the challenges that we've thrown at you. You've teamed up to help each other learn how to play the ins and outs of this game. And you've gone above and beyond the game itself to better the lives of others. You have helped us build a world that has brought people together. And we are so proud of the amount of respect and love that has defined this community. So many lives have been changed by you, and they will continue to be changed. We know we have to continue to support this, and today, I'm happy to say that in Destiny 2, clans are coming into the game. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with clans, they're optional teams that you can join, making it easier to play with other people. For me, playing with my clan has been core to my Destiny experience, but up until now, coordinating with my clan had to happen outside of the game. With Destiny 2, we're bringing official clan support into the game. We want it to be easier. We want it to be easier for you to manage and grow your clan. So we're adding in-game rosters. We're adding tools you need to build your fire teams and custom banners for you to help shape your shared identities. On top of that, we're adding a reward system that is shared by every member of your clan. So whether you're the type of player who raids every week, or you only have the time to jump into a few PvP matches on the weekend, your contribution will help everyone in the clan get rewards. Now, we realize that joining a clan is not for everyone, and that's okay. But this is why I'm super excited to say that clans are going to matter to you, even if you never join one. In Destiny, we had co-op activities that were designed to inspire friendship. Activities like the Nightfall, raids, trials. We deliberately kept them exclusive to dedicated groups of people because we believe that challenge is what fuels the memories between you and your lifelong friends. And we didn't think that matchmaking was a great solution because of just how toxic gaming communities can get when you throw strangers temporarily into these challenging experiences. And while we think that playing with a group of people that you know and trust is the best way to experience the game, we made it inaccessible for some players to experience our in-game content. So we had an idea. We have these clans who are our best examples of communities with positive culture. And we have so many players who are looking to play challenging content in this welcoming environment. What if we put those two together? We're trying something new in Destiny 2, and we'd like to introduce you to guided games. Now, at a high level, guided games is a system where clans and solo players can meet to play challenging activities. And as a solo player, you can use guided games to pick a clan you want to be paired with for a session of the raid, a session of trials, or the Nightfall Strike. And the most important thing about this is that you get to see which clans are currently hosting, and you're able to read just a little bit about them so you know who they're looking for at that moment. You get to see how they present themselves, and you get a little sense of what type of players are part of that clan. And for players who are in an active clan, you know that building a full fire team of 6 to run the raid can still be a frustrating experience. And if you're a scheduler like me, then you're motivated to play with a consistent group of people. But you've probably had to deal with the experience of someone bailing at the last minute, and then you're scrambling to find the substitute, and you're just trying to keep the group together. With guided games, you'll be able to open up your party to new players who are looking for a group to play with you. Through guided games, clans are now the foundation of the community that leads every player to all the most challenging content. And while we're really happy to say that everyone is going to have a chance to experience everything that Destiny 2 has to offer, we're really more excited about who you're going to meet and how you're going to play together. We know there is a community for everyone, and we hope that in Destiny 2, we can help you find one where you belong.
Destiny 2 really tries to say, you belong.
You can play by yourself, and that's awesome. But playing with someone else and tackling a challenge together, that's when we believe Destiny is really at its best.
We've heard loud and clear from a lot of our players over the last couple of years that they really wanted to play endgame activities like the raid and the Nightfall strikes that require a group, but they just couldn't get enough players online at the same time.
Our big challenge is like, how do you take the ease of matchmaking and how do you take the magic of community building and help people find the people that you will have a great time with?
We're adding 2 new systems to Destiny 2 that are pretty critical: clans and guided games.
Clans have always been a part of Destiny. It's just been a nameplate or a second friends list. But clans are finally in the Destiny 2 game.
Clans in Destiny 2 are groups that you can join to play the game together.
When you're looking for the clans, you kind of get to see their motto, you get to see their name, you get to see that awesome clan banner there, and you kind of get a sense of who they are before you say, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna go play with these guys.
Clans are gonna have progression, rewards, and they're also going to be guides for the guided games experience.
Guided games is a way to allow solo players to seek out clans, to find people who are already hosting a game who are just looking for 1 or 2 more players.
So imagine you had 5 people who wanted to play Raid, but they're missing a 6th person. Then you have a solo player who's never played Raids before, and they're like, I just want to see what this is like. We'll match a group and a solo player together.
Guided games are our way of making sure everyone who loves Destiny can play every piece of content we build.
Guided games doesn't require any commitment. You just have that really great experience, and then you can part ways. But our hope is, if you have a blast in that activity, maybe you'll make some friends and join the clan.
Destiny, through clans and guided games, is going to help people fill out their friends list, so they're always going to have people to play with.
What we try to do in Destiny 2 is weave this sense of community throughout the entire game. When you get to the farm, you meet this character, Hawthorne, who doesn't live in the city anymore, but she went out into the wilderness and created a community of her own. So we use the storytelling.
It's created so many friendships that would have never existed, all because of this game.
We really try hard to make sure from the ground up we're building this to be an experience that you want to share with your friends. And not only your friends, but the potential friends that you could have.
I've never had a game that feels like home before, but Destiny just feels like home.
There are no words to explain how much I love this community.
People have found a new place to call home and new people to call family.
Destiny 2 is really ramping up everything in every regard. I think it really is about the breadth of experience that you can have.
Whether you're in match-made activities like PvP and strikes, or whether you've taken a step into guided games, it's a game that's best enjoyed beside other players. That's the heart of Destiny. That's what the game's about.
As you just saw, Destiny is a series that brings people together. It's allowed me to reconnect with an old friend from junior high, someone I hadn't heard from in almost 20 years. I was sitting at the Sony E3 press conference a couple years ago, and Destiny the Taken King was just revealed on stage, and my phone starts buzzing, and I look down and it's a message from this friend, and he's like, dude, do you know anything about this Destiny game? And I'm like, yeah, I know a little bit about this Destiny game. And since then, we've played the game together for dozens of hours. We've introduced our families in real life, and we've got the opportunity to laugh again, just like we did when we were kids playing Super Nintendo in his parents' basement. Destiny's also given me the opportunity to grow closer with my youngest brother. We talk on the phone now, almost every week. And for the first 10 minutes, instead of talking about our jobs or talking about our parents, we're talking about Destiny. We're talking about our Guardian's trials, where we've been in the world, the crazy loot we found, his story about how he got Gallahorn, the dudes he's been crushing in the Crucible. And every week, he asks me about Destiny 2, and every week, I deny him, until today. With Destiny 2's clans and guided games, we aim to bring together millions of more people just like that, to reconnect with old friends and to meet new ones that you'll never forget. That's the promise of this game. To us, Destiny is more than just a game, though. It's a world where you can lose yourself for 10 minutes or for 1,000 hours, where you can explore the world at your own pace or take on some of the most competitive challenges available in video games today, where you can play solo, like I do most of the time, or with an old friend, a family member, or with someone you just met. This is Destiny 2. Destiny is a world I want to be a part of, where there are amazing activities to do every week, and there's always someone to play with. On behalf of Bungie and Activision, I want to take this opportunity to thank this incredible community that inspires us to work tirelessly to make this game a worthy sequel to the original. Before I pass on the baton to Eric Hirschberg at Activision, who's going to close out the show, here is the official gameplay trailer for Destiny 2.
Ikora, if you tell me this is a practical joke, well, it kills me to say it, but I would be really impressed.
Impressing you, Cade, is the easiest thing I'll do all day.
Ikora, what have you got?
Someone or something has sabotaged the Skyline defense systems.
Every sensor beyond the wall has gone dark.
Battle stations! Everyone with me, now! Journey ends here. This enemy has taken our home, and now they threaten our very existence. But if we attack together, we can take back our home, or we die trying.
All right, Guardian, time to kick him where it hurts.
Was that awesome or what? Am I right? Am I right or am I right? And no one doesn't like Nathan Fillion, don't bother. As awesome as that trailer was, I can tell you, because I've been playing the game a ton, it is even better than it looks. I could not be prouder or more thankful to our partners at Bungie. They had a big vision for this game to make Destiny 2 a sequel-worthy successor to what they started with Destiny. And they've also really listened to all of you, to our community. And I think they've made all the right moves to make Destiny 2 just awesome. So let's hear it for Luke and Steve and Emmy and Mark. And let's also hear for the entire Bungie team that they're representing back home, who are just killing themselves to make this thing awesome for you guys. Amazing work. Now, long before I was a partner of Bungie's, I was a fan of Bungie's and their games, and it's just been an honor and a pleasure to call them our partners and to help them bring this vision to life. And for all of you who are here in person, in just a few minutes, you're going to be the first people in the world to put your hands on the controllers and get your hands on Destiny 2. You are going to play the first campaign mission that you saw at the beginning of the stream. You're going to get to team up with one another and experience a brand new strike. And you're going to get to battle it out in a brand new multiplayer map, playing a brand new multiplayer mode. So it's going to be a lot of awesome content. And for those of you who are watching at home thinking, well, that sucks for me, don't worry, we've got your back, because we are going to be hosting a beta later this summer, so everyone will get a chance to get their hands on Destiny 2 before the launch. Now, doing all this, bringing a vision and an undertaking as ambitious and huge as Destiny 2 to life, it takes more than just the great talent we have at Activision and the great talent we have at Bungie. It takes partners who also can see the vision and believe in the vision as much as we do. And we have a partner just like that in Sony. They have been by our side since really before day one. And these guys are, legit. Some of the hardest core Destiny players I know are on the team that we work with at Sony. So they've been hugely supportive every step of the way of Activision, of Bungie, and of the Destiny vision, including today, because they're providing all of the slick 4K PS4 Pros that you're going to be playing on today. So a heartfelt thanks to our partners at Sony for being there with us. Let's hear it for them. Now, it's no secret that Destiny has inspired millions of console gamers all over the world, but there is one community so far of gamers that have never been able to get in on the fun, and that's all you PC fans out there. Now, as you know, we've already announced that Destiny 2 is coming to the PC, and it's going to be just an epic version of the game. And today, you don't have to take my word for that. You're going to get to put your hands on it and check it out for yourself and see all the love and attention that we're building into it just for PC fans. But what we haven't announced is where you're going to be able to find it. Well, let me tell you, there is a place out there where the most awesome PC games and the most passionate PC gamers anywhere in the world both live. And Destiny 2 is going to live there as well. So I want to introduce a friend of mine who wanted to be here in person. He's all the way over in China today, so he's going to get in on the fun by video. But he knows a thing or two about epic PC games, and it's my friend and counterpart at Blizzard Entertainment, Mike Morhaime.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Morhaime from Blizzard Entertainment, and I'm excited to be part of today's Destiny 2 celebration. You may be wondering, why is Blizzard crashing a Destiny party? Well, we're big fans of what Activision and Bungie have done with Destiny. We think it's a great game and a cool universe, and we have a soft spot for collecting lots of epic loot. Also, as you know firsthand, there's an awesome and passionate community around the world who loves this game. With Destiny 2 coming to PC, we thought it would be a great opportunity to bring the Destiny community and the Blizzard community together. So I'm excited to announce that Destiny 2 will be available for PC exclusively through Battle.net, Blizzard's online gaming service. Players will be able to buy and download games, explore content, and connect with each other through social features such as friends lists and cross-game chat. We're excited to partner with the talented folks at Bungie and Activision to make this happen, and we look forward to bringing Destiny 2 to Blizzard's platform. Now, I know you have an action-packed day ahead of you with a bunch of Destiny 2 content to check out, so have fun, and we'll see you online soon.
So thanks to Mike for helping us make that great announcement. Thanks again to our partners at Bungie for doing what they do and making an awesome game you're going to get to check out today. Thanks to the entire team at Activision for doing what you do and bringing this thing to life. But most of all, we all want to thank all of you here in person and all of you watching all over the world. This game is built on the belief that playing is always more fun when you're doing it with your friends. And in no time flat, you guys have made the Destiny community one of the most engaged, one of the most passionate, one of the most positive gaming communities maybe ever. So with that, for those of you at home, we'll see you online this summer in the beta. And for those of you here in the room, let's go play. Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Destiny 2. Whew. So much to talk about, digest, breakdown, which we're going to be doing for you right now. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Sean Finnegan, who's a member of our Destiny Show Fireteam Chat. We also want to hear from you, your reactions and questions. Tweet them at IGN with the hashtag Destiny2Live, and we will share them here on the show. But first, Jose, your immediate reactions, go.
Okay, so I think that they talked about everything that they pretty much needed to. They set the tone for the opening of this campaign. They showed the first mission, which they call Homecoming, which I thought looked fantastic. It is a way, and they had these cool call-outs to fans. You're fighting alongside the leaders of Destiny, and they've had sort of a back, they just never had a prominent role. They were always the guys who send you out to do things. You never fought alongside them. You never did things like that. I love the opening and just having that little bit with Zavala and how he is, you see sort of the tower getting sort of built and just jumping into that lore and into that world, I think was really smart. And then they did a great job, I think, of showing the world building, of showing like, hey, here's some of the things we want to talk about. Crucible 4v4 across all modes. Let's do that. Hey, we have this concept called guided games, which I'm both happy and a little worried for. We'll get into that later. But I think that they hit on all the essential beats to make this a bit more accessible for people. Because we were talking about that earlier, right? Like, what does it mean when you say you are trying to bring together the hardcore, passionate crowd with new players that you're bringing in, both on the PC or across like different platforms? You know, you have your PS4 Pro, your Xbox Scorpio, whatever that ends up getting called. So I think they hit on the right beats and said things that I was excited to hear about. So props to them for that and showing a lot of it.
The single thing you're most excited about?
Ooh, oh man, what are lost sectors? And like, where do I even begin? Like, so this new area that you're basically discovering like dungeons and having like loot at the end and there's a boss fight. I hope the boss fight is cool. Like I have expectations there. I can't wait to see what that looks like. And if there's like a hidden schedule behind some of them that are only available at certain times, at certain places, certain days, that's cool to me.
Well, we are joined now by Sean Finnegan, part of our Destiny Show Fireteam Chat. Sean, you're a big Destiny fan. What are your immediate reactions?
I mean, I am super hyped. I went into this with very tempered expectations because I'm the type of guy who doesn't want to get overhyped for things, but I could not really contain my excitement. I was smiling ear to ear throughout that whole gameplay extended demo. It was super cool to see the tower in total shambles, new supers in action, new weapons, and just these familiar zones skinned and totally different and playing in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just asked Jose this. What was your favorite the thing you're most excited about?
Again, I was kind of a hater about this because I've kind of thought we needed to tone down the use of supers in Destiny 2, but man, those new supers are awesome, dude.
That was my number 2, like absolutely my number 2. They
yeah,
look
like
fantastic.
of course we had to see Warlock gameplay first. I'm just, I'm kind of a Warlock hater, but it is so cool to see them raining down Hellfire from the skies with the sword, like at the Dawnblade super. It just looks like a ton of fun. It looks like it's going to be very fun to play.
Yeah.
So you guys are both hardcore Destiny fans. I want your reactions on clans and guided games.
So I think that clans, Destiny's needed this. I mean, for a game that wants to be so social, you needed a place for people to connect and for people to find and form these groups together and not have it live on Bungie.net, but have it actually integrated into the game. I think this was an important step for them. I think that guided games sort of feels like Tinder for clans because you don't want to commit, but you're looking for just sort of some kind of a relationship where you guys can go out and get some higher end activities done. But maybe you're just not, you haven't found a clan that's right for you. So you're swiping through and sort of checking out a bit of a profile info on them. How loud, or like basically, hopefully clans in the Destiny 2 universe are just gonna present themselves honestly. Because if you're loud and raucous and that's what you're looking for, be upfront about that so people will sign up for that. If you're a group that just wants to help out the beginners, make that your message as well. And I think that that's an interesting way to position that.
So if you guys are part of a clan together, how do you feel about total strangers joining your clan?
I think this is the right implementation for getting that in there. You have the ability for a clan to seek out an individual player, and if you're an individual player, you have the ability to seek out a clan. This is the best possible solution no matter which part of the game you fall into, right?
Yeah, I didn't want matchmaking myself. Like, are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on board with that mentality. They addressed it a little bit during the stream, but there is a little bit of a toxicity when it comes to these multiplayer games when you don't know the people that you're getting involved with and you're putting them into a very tense and difficult situation like a raid or like a Nightfall. So I think that this is the best possible solution where you can kind of look through the people that you want to add to your fire team if you're a group, or if you're a type of player, you can specify the type of clan and the type of activity you're going to
Yeah, I do hope though, like we do see what does feedback look like there, right? Like sort of like when you take an Uber or a Lyft, you know, during a day, like what is your player rating, and will the experiences that you have, will those folks then be able to just vote and say, yeah, this guy, pretty cool, this Finnegan, like if he's looking for a guided game, I recommend him. Versus there's gonna be nightmare scenarios where people jump in to get an activity done and either the clan is trolling or the guy who joined is trolling. And we've seen plenty of that already with some of the Destiny organizational type things that folks have tried, right? Like LFG and just trying different like online alternatives today. You
yeah,
get
I mean, you remember in the early days of LFG, you couldn't get a group unless you had Galahorn.
Yeah.
And I think that that is the type of thing that Bungie wants to avoid.
Yeah,
I think obviously,
snootiness.
obviously as players, we want to know more about this going in. I think that there could be some things that caused me hesitation about how those things are implemented. But by and large, I'm really excited to see how they put this together because I do think that it is mostly the right solution to get players together in the game.
Yeah, and definitely to get more people trying the higher end activities, because that's a huge barrier, right? I mean, they let off the presentation with only 50% of the player base was able to complete and finish the first raid, which is great.
Yeah, the first raid, like, what do you think about subsequent raids? Probably even less, right?
Probably way lower than that. But then if you slice into like how many players are returning, maybe it balances out. But it's still that idea of, you know, Destiny has some great activities that a lot of the player base wasn't seeing.
Sure.
And that's unfortunate.
Now, what do you guys think about the news that on PC, it's going to be available exclusively through Battle.net?
So I was in the control room when this happened alongside big PC fan James Duggan, and he was wigging out because this is a big integration. Blizzard's Battle.net has like great reliability, great service, great functionality, and this awesome community that's developed around awesome multiplayer games like StarCraft 2 and the original StarCraft Brood War, obviously Warcraft 3 before that, and obviously now Overwatch and Hearthstone in the esports scenes. To have Blizzard sort of take Destiny under its wing and help foster that community in a brand new way on PC, I don't think there's a better company, maybe outside of Valve and Steam, where this game could exist.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, you're talking about some of the proven, most hardcore, most just dedicated players in the games that Sean just mentioned. Like, having those tools was really important for the PC crowd. And Bungie, I don't think Bungie and Activision were going to build those from the ground up. I mean, let's be honest. That's a lot of work. Like, having just the history and the experience that comes with Blizzard and Battle.net, that's huge.
Jose, I know you were excited about the new map that we're seeing and these 4 new worlds. Can you?
Yeah, sure. So just talking about like the European Dead Zone, right? Like, and
Yeah,
then
that's
claiming
so
it's
cool.
the largest space we've ever made. My assumption was that's the new hub space. That's your new social, like where you'll sort of meet up and meet people. Like, I couldn't quite tell because they've taken out too. Like, no more going to orbit. That's gone. You can just go to the places you need to go. And the planets themselves, you know, having Titan, having Io, having Nessus. I was a bit disappointed that the art direction, for example, on I think it was Nessus, just reminded me a lot of Venus and reminded me a lot of spaces I've seen.
Rainy, water-based.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing that Titan did for me instead, though. Just seeing like it was this huge storm and everything on the water, and you're just like, wait, how am I supposed to get around? That's crazy. I was a bit conflicted, but I was interested to see more.
Yeah, I'm super interested in these new worlds. I try and have some perspective on this. Like, we're seeing 1 or 2 shots of these environments and making judgments based on those. I'm sure that, like the new European Dead Zone, these spaces are going to be huge and explorable and have a lot of variation. I just love this idea of the Guardians expanding throughout the solar system. Like, I think there's a great opportunity for Bungie to kind of give players different types of things to do and different activities in these new worlds, and hopefully expand on that going further out to the further planets later on.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And I think too that you're absolutely right? It's still just very early to tell, and who knows what other secrets are there. How do lost sectors sort of play into that? Because are they on these worlds or are they sort of in between? What is that art direction? I will say though, the art direction is still fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, Bungie knocks it out of the park consistently. I felt like they always had great art direction with Halo. They've consistently held that up with Destiny, and here we are with D2, and you're seeing structures and environments and places that are foreign and are alien, but look just incredible. Like, I love how it looks.
And not even just incredible because you're right, they do look great, but also consistent. Like, it all feels part of this immersive world where all the pieces and elements and armor and characters and weapons all feel like they're part of this same universe. And that's not an easy thing to come
No, that's really hard to do, actually. That consistency is something that when you see across other games when they get it wrong, you kind of wince for a second. You're like, ugh, what is that? Whereas every piece of gear, and they showed a lot of it, like in subtle ways, right?
Oh,
like
man,
every time they showed a Guardian, I was just like, oh, I gotta get closer to my TV.
That's a submachine gun.
What is it? What weapon is that? Like, oh my.
So Activision has talked a lot about how they want to broaden the franchise's reach, and obviously bring it to PC is a big part of that. Welcoming in new players who never played the first game, and then also it seems like they at least are taking some steps towards making it a more friendly single-player experience. They talk about how there's going to be more exploration in the game, more to do than there's ever been in a Bungie game before, adventures and side missions. So, as hardcore Destiny fans, do you get the sense that it's going to be there's going to be a little bit more to do, a little bit more satisfying experience for people who want to go it solo?
I think they harped on it a lot, and I think that, yes, the answer is there's going to be plenty of stuff to do for the lone wolf players that are out there. One of the big criticisms that we had about Destiny's open world before was that aside from the original game where you played most of the campaign, after you hit the level cap and the light cap, there was almost no reason to go back into the overworld and explore those. One, they were pretty small, they were focused, they didn't really offer much outside of the ways of some quests and public events, and now that we have this new integration with the map, that's going to highlight all these new cool things to do. There's both incentive on the developer side to stock that world full of new events for players to explore and find, and then as a player, when you pull up your map or you're seeing it on your HUD, these new things for you to explore and find, and the possibility of rewards, that's going to encourage you to go out into that overworld and find all these cool new secrets.
Yeah, and I'm curious what they keep talking and harping on, you know, the idea of, and it's in the marketing too, what the world looks like without light, right? A world without light. And sort of the traveler, the source of your Guardian's powers is taken away. Like, well, what does that mean for the campaign and for the early activities? Like, are you setting us all back to zero to then make it easier for these new players coming in because they won't have that same grasp of how your different elements work, how your different super abilities work, how you can sort of manipulate and play with different fields to mess with armor and agility and aspects like that. I wonder if that's the big reason for the reset too, right? Like, it's not just get rid of all the gear and make them start fresh, it's also make everyone start on the same page.
Yeah. I do wonder if, remember in when Taken King introduced the new subclasses, there was a part of the campaign where, depending on which class you were, you went off and did a specific quest to attain your new subclass. I wonder if the game starts off like that, because a world without the Traveler, a world without light, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the light power our supers. So
That's
does that
what
mean
I'm
no
saying.
supers?
Yeah, no. Like, what does that mean? Like, is it more like a regular shooter at the start?
Because I mean, in that gameplay demo, which I imagine is the way the game starts. That's probably the very first mission.
Yes, yeah, Homecoming, yeah.
We're seeing supers being used. So what does that mean? Are we gonna have to earn them back in subsequent missions? I'm very interested to see more about
Well,
that.
I think you're right about that a little bit, because when you look at the new worlds, right, and they seem to be sending the leader of a Guardian to each one, whether it's to find themselves or to recover or to make mischief if you're Cade 6. But I like this idea that you're probably going to have to earn it back. I think that opening mission did a great job of like showing off super abilities and showing off just everything that made Destiny interesting. But it's also funny, it's full of some hidden fan service, right? Like the first thing you have to do is repel 3 waves of an attack, which you've been doing for freaking 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, Bungie. Way to send that one off. And then they show Sweeper Bot, like in the hallway, and everyone went nuts in the audience. And if you're a new player, you're like, what is everyone cheering about?
Why is everyone happy about this sweeping bot?
Yeah, so I thought that was really, really interesting stuff, but great fan service for people who have been along this journey, and if not, a great way to introduce these characters to folks who have no idea who they are.
We do have a question from Twitter we can bring up now. Remember, viewers, if you have questions for us, you can tweet them at IGN with hashtag Destiny2Live, just like our friend Lance Hughes did. We got no specs. Or no beta date. They just said the beta's coming this summer for people who pre-order. Jose, how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. In my excitement, I'm really glad for that tweet right now, actually. It is true. No spec, no word on if it's 60 frames. I doubt it is, because I think that would have been said. So it's presumably going to be a 30 frames per second game. No word on beta date yet, but I think that you can get the beta date announcement out at E3. You can say, okay, and on Sony's stage, we're here to announce the Destiny beta begins July or August or what it ends up being. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like July. On the spec side, though, yeah, I have to agree, that is disappointing. Like, for some folks, they do want to know what the advantage of being a PC player is going to look like versus if I own a PlayStation Pro or if I own even a default Xbox One or a PS4. Unfortunately, that was not answered during this presentation. I would still keep an eye on IGN because there will be conversations, interviews. Later today, Fireteam Chat is going to get together, and they're going to have a lot to talk about. They've played it, they've seen it up close, and they're probably going to talk to people. So those answers will come.
Yeah. Well, looking ahead to E3, which is just a couple, 2 or 3 weeks away, that's probably the next time we'll get an update on Destiny 2. We know that Bungie is sort of aligned with Sony for marketing purposes, and PlayStation's going to get some like downloadable content first, timed exclusives. So I wonder if Destiny 2 will be part of Sony's press conference at E3, and that's when they'll want to announce the beta.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Sony and Activision and Bungie have had a very strong relationship through the original Destiny. I mean, fun fact, Sony publishes Destiny in Japan.
Right.
No other publisher picks that up because Activision doesn't publish normally in Japan. Usually when Western publishers go over there and have product, they'll go through a different publisher or distributor through that side.
Fun fact, Square Enix usually publishes Call of Duty in Japan.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Great example. So yeah, that bond will continue to grow. Hopefully on Sony's stage they show some of that more PlayStation exclusive stuff. It does leave sort of a sore spot for if you're an Xbox fan, and I hope that they find an elegant way to address that, because if I'm on an Xbox One, or if I'm on a 1S, or if I'm planning to get a Scorpio, like, what is my advantage to playing Destiny on there, right? Also, Bungie needs to answer the question, if you're playing on PC, on Xbox One, and on PS4, can your character just transfer between all three? That is not an answered thing yet as well. And, for someone like me who had friends in both ecosystems, at least on Xbox and on PS4, that was a huge pain in the ass. Like, just having to start a character from the ground up, level them up, get them up to the highest light level to then go out for high-end activities, and having different gear among both, kind of a bummer. Yes, there's a small segment of the audience that's going to be doing that, but I still think it's worth doing that.
What about cross-platform play?
That I don't think's a thing. I would be genuinely surprised. I mean, would love it, but on the PC side, for example, you couldn't do it for Crucible because just PvP alone, like no way. Like every time, mouse and keyboard win. This is not It ain't even up for debate, you know? Like, there's no point in that one. But for some of the co-op driven stuff, maybe. But I don't think that happens.
Okay, let's summarize what's new in Destiny 2 and what's returning from Destiny 1.
Oh yeah, sure.
So what are the big new features that you noticed for Destiny 2?
Oh man, I mean,
takeaways.
Number one, just new subclasses, right? And seeing them in action was very cool. And each one had a very heroic sort of spin on them, right? With these Titans that have the Sentinel and having the ability to throw, your shield. And you have the Arcstrider. Yeah, very Captain America. Then you have the staff wielding Hunter and sort of the Arcstrider. And that was very Aquaman to me. I don't know, like personally. But then you had the Dawnblade, which was the Warlock. I like that they're finding fun uses for melee combat, specifically within subclasses. And it kind of started with Sunbreakers, if you know what that is from the Taken King. But that's cool to me. Then you had Lost Sectors, which I'm really curious. I hope that is the coolest thing about Destiny. The post-game mysteries, or the things that you'll discover along the adventure. Obviously, the game's going to have a campaign, but here's an opportunity to really find special loot, find special places that you can take other people to in order to get like high-end, really cool gear. Like exotics will probably be tied to that in some way. Those are the most powerful pieces of gear in Destiny. Then you have, you have 3 new planets to explore. That's very cool. And the idea that the campaign is tied into sending a Guardian to each one. You have clans and this idea of guided games, which I am personally excited for, but it's probably the biggest hanging question for me outside of specs and things like that, which I know, I trust we'll get those answers. I want to know what those ratings look like. I want to know how they're going to sort of monitor that, because the internet, for all of its friendliness in some corners, and Destiny fans are passionate and want people to experience things. I mean, our own Lucy O'Brien wrote a feature about how welcoming that community was for her with the first game to help her get involved. Or I think it was with Taken King, I can't quite remember. But she still had that experience. And I think there are Guardians and clans out there that are going to facilitate and push for that. But what happens when they're a troll clan? Like, is there a way to combat that and make sure those guys don't ruin people's fun? That to me still needs to get answered and fleshed out.
I see. They made a point of noting that Trials, Nightfalls, and Raids are going to be available to all players.
That's right.
Break that down. Why is that significant? How is that different from before?
Yeah, just because you had to be the highest level Guardian with the highest level gear. You had to have a reliable group of friends for Trials. Like, Trials specifically was, all 3 of those modes you just mentioned are some of the most hardcore activities in Destiny. And so there's trust falls involved with that. You know what I'm trying to say? There is very much, you need a group of people who you gel with, who you vibe with. It really helps when they're people you know. Because the minute things don't go right, the last thing you need is a team that tears itself apart, having arguments, having like sort of violent and ugly sort of discourses online. I think it is in Bungie's best interest to try and facilitate groups getting together in Destiny to experience the end-level content and find groups they can play with. And to their credit, Bungie's been doing this for a long time and trying to get there. I remember with, I think it was Halo Reach or Halo 3, they implemented this idea of a personality profile. So you can kind of find, if you're a loud trash talker, you can play with loud trash talkers, that kind of mentality. And it's a tough nut to crack, to be honest, to sort of help like-minded people find each other, at least in a video game. Granted, they find each other all the time, sites like Reddit and things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that when you're putting as much effort into the end game stuff, into raiding, into like highly competitive matches and trials, you need a doorway, an entry point. And I think that guided games and sort of using clans as the connecting tissue is a smart way to do it.
Then as a hardcore Destiny player, what do you feel like is returning that's going to feel very comfortable for Destiny fans out there? Stuff they're not messing with.
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not sure, because a lot of things are returning, but I don't think they were very clear on, will it be the same? You know what I'm trying to say? So for example, you still have your 3 standard classes, your Hunter, your Titan, and your Warlock, but do they fundamentally play differently now? I could not tell from that video. You have things like Trials, and the Crucible has been completely rethought, is what they're saying. Well, what does that mean? There's a 4v4 component across every competitive mode now. That's exciting, and that's what I'm happy about that, but at the same time, when you say you've rethought Crucible, like, what are you trying to say? You know, like, I feel like that also wasn't answered very well. So I'm only listing things so far that I'm concerned about. I will say raids. Raids to me are the best part of Destiny. I am constantly excited for a new raid just because it is such an endurance trial and such a test of a team's ability to work together. That is what the raid does that no other shooter today does well.
Yeah.
And no one has an answer to either. I have not seen a shooter try to approach the raid yet the way Bungie does it. And I'm curious if Call of Duty's zombie modes, for example, may try to pick up some raid-like structures and some raid-like abilities. That's the thing I'm most excited for and most comfortable with. But the rest, I still feel like they haven't answered enough questions to really tell me.
They did tease a new raid too, right? They said details on that will be coming at a later time.
Yeah, and traditionally the way they've always rolled with their expansions, and even when Destiny first launched, is that the game will come out first, and they give you an opportunity to reach the highest end of the end game content, and then they'll release the raid within a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That's just standard practice. You know, give folks some time to reach that plateau and then set them loose. Although they are also saying this is open for everyone. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm really, really, really curious to hear what they have to say.
We do have another question from Twitter we can bring up. Remember, if you have your questions, tweet them at IGN with the hashtag Destiny2Live, just like our friend Jason Supreme did. How expansive do you think the beta experience will or should be? So the beta's coming this summer.
That's right.
We don't know the exact date yet. We're theorizing maybe we'll get that at E3.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you hoping to see in the beta?
I mean, you have to give a sample of each experience, right? You're going to have to give them some worlds, some campaign. You're probably going to be able to play that homecoming mission yourself and maybe the first 3 or 4 campaign missions. How expansive I think it should be is a good question because they really have to do a good job of selling new players on it, right? Like, but then again, it's a pre-order only bonus. So who are you really selling to? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not entirely sure if they see it as an opportunity to just open the floodgates to everyone. So far, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit concerned, confused, but I do think it will have all 3 components of what Destiny is. It'll have that, you know, sort of competitive side. It'll have the social element, and it will have campaign, which is important.
Well, you know, the people that are at the event today, including several members of IGN, are playing this level, I believe, the opening level of the game.
Yeah, homecoming, yeah.
So that's one thing. And do you remember what they also said that they were going to be able to play today, that we're actually going to be able to report on today?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think they said you're going to be able to play a strike called the Inverted Spire. They said that you'll be able to play Crucible, which for me mode, they had a new mode called Countdown, which was attack and defend based. We've seen a lot of shooters sort of mess around with that. Curious, again, see how sort of that plays and how that plays out. Destiny, for what you want to say about it, doesn't really have that. Those are at least the 3 areas I would expect to hear a lot from Fran and from Destin and from Brian Malkowitz and CJ Gibson are out there. So look forward to that later.
Yeah, actually, there's going to be a live Fireteam chat presentation later on today, 8 p.m. Pacific, I believe.
Right.
So definitely come back for that. And they'll be able to give you an info dump on everything that they play and saw today, actually, at the event.
Yeah, and you'll find clip outs because that's 11 p.m. on the East Coast, and some of you probably have something to do on Saturday, so you don't want to stay up on the East Coast waiting for us.
It's Thursday night.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's
that's right.
Friday.
Yeah.
You probably got to go to.
Okay, that's true. I confused Thursday for Friday. But still, you should check. If you can't make it, don't worry, we'll have clip outs. But definitely come back because you can talk to those guys, send them questions. They're all about answering any and every question that they can for you. So make sure that you're here.
Jose, before we wrap up here, I want to know what blew you away from the presentation today. And I want to know if there's anything that has you worried about Destiny 2.
Okay, so I think, can I lead with worry?
You want to lead with worry?
Yeah, I'm going to lead with the
get
worry.
the bad news out of the way first.
Get the bad news out of the way first. I want to know, I feel like strikes, the question of how complicated or complex are strikes was not answered at all. I feel like they just sort of glossed over what that is. If you have a lot of experience with Destiny, you know that this is a primary way to sort of grind and level up. They didn't really even talk about that too, how much of it is the grind, how much of it is playing the same mission over and over, because that really turned a lot of people off. And I feel like they have learned a lot since the original Destiny, and they have tried to make strikes more interesting. But at the end of the day, Damon, it is still a shooting gallery that doesn't require a whole lot of skill to play. So I'm curious what that means. I'm also curious for what I said earlier about guided games. What's the feedback system look like? How do you leave player feedback? Is that going to play into who you see and who you find? Because we all want to believe the internet can help sort it out themselves. There's going to be a lot of arguments along the way to figure that part out.
Yeah.
But what I'm most excited for is that campaign. I think that opening mission looked great, despite leading with that very silly, oh, there's a 3-part defend mission. I'm like, oh, you guys do this all the time. Why are you doing this to me again? But it looked fantastic. I thought that even fighting alongside these 3 characters that, I've seen in this game for 3 years, but they've done nothing but sit behind a desk, figuratively speaking. You know what I mean? To see them out in the field and to see their stories develop, that's really cool to me.
Very cool. Some people are actually pointing out in the YouTube chat, we were talking about the beta. Apparently, pre-ordering just gets you early access to the beta.
Oh, so it is for everyone.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it'll be opened up to the wider.
All right, so with that in mind, then you've got a lot of people to sell to. No, that's good. That's fantastic.
We have another Twitter question we can bring up right here. He tweeted his question at IGN, who says, do you think the new planets will be the only locations? I didn't see Mars or the moon in the reveal.
No, I think that's more I think that's just the result of wanting to sort of focus and emphasize. That's a great question, right? I mean, they're starting from the ground up. Do they get rid of? You can't get rid of those planets. They're still
You don't think so? You think? Well, but are they places you can visit in the game?
Maybe in a limited capacity, right? I think maybe it is all about the new spaces, and that you leave that stuff behind because ultimately, your new players are coming in. You want to start everyone off at the same level. So maybe those did go away.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. But there are 2 expansions confirmed for this thing, and you never know if they just go, oh, guess what?
Yeah, they can
Cosmodrome's open again.
Bring back,
Welcome back, Guardians, as we take you through for another exciting adventure. Shooting in a place that's mostly written in Russian.
Well, that about wraps it up for us here today. Thank you for joining us this morning for the gameplay reveal from Destiny 2. Jose, what's your takeaway? Your 1-sentence takeaway from this morning?
Exciting stuff. Look forward to more.
Yeah. Look forward to more. More of which we will have all throughout the day here on IGN because we have boots on the ground at the Destiny 2 premiere event. So look for articles on IGN throughout the day and then come back here 8 p.m. Pacific for a live Fireteam chat. That's our Destiny podcast. The members of Fireteam chat are at the event. They're playing the game and they'll be able to share all their thoughts on what they experienced with you later on tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific, right back here at the same spot.
Be excited. That's going to be awesome. Make sure you're here.
Jose, thanks for joining me this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.